Hello boxing fans, and welcome to Punch Power. Today, we're breaking down the exciting matchup between David Benavidez and Oleksandr Gvozdyk that took place on 15 June 2024 at MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas. In this fight, we'll analyze the key moments and strategies, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Let's get started. In the first round of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, both fighters started cautiously, feeling each other out. Benavidez used his jab effectively to establish range and control the pace. Gvozdyk, known for his technical skills, showed good movement and defensive awareness, trying to find openings. Benavidez's aggression and pressure were evident as he pushed forward, but Gvozdyk remained composed, landing a few sharp counters. Overall, the round set the stage for a tactical battle, with Benavidez's pressure and Gvozdyk's counterpunching creating an intriguing dynamic. In the second round of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez ramped up the intensity, using his jab to establish control and close the distance. He followed up with powerful combinations, targeting both the head and body, which began to wear on Gvozdyk. Gvozdyk, relying on his technical prowess and movement, attempted to keep Benavidez at bay with precise counters, but found it increasingly difficult to keep the relentless Benavidez off him. As the round progressed, Benavidez's pressure forced Gvozdyk into a defensive posture, limiting Gvozdyk's offensive output. The cumulative effect of Benavidez's aggression and volume of punches clearly swayed the momentum in his favor by the end of the round. In the third round of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez continued to assert his dominance with relentless pressure, driving Gvozdyk back with powerful punches. Benavidez maintained a high work rate, landing combinations that tested Gvozdyk's defense. Gvozdyk tried to respond with quick counters and smart footwork, but Benavidez's aggression kept him on the defensive. Despite Gvozdyk's efforts to create space and regain control, Benavidez's sustained attack made it difficult for him to mount a significant offense. The round clearly highlighted Benavidez's ability to impose his will and dictate the pace of the fight. In the round 4 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez's relentless pressure and powerful combinations began to take a toll on Gvozdyk. He mixed up his attack, targeting both the head and body, with hooks and uppercuts that started to break down Gvozdyk's defense. Gvozdyk struggled to keep Benavidez at bay, as his movement and counters became less effective under the constant onslaught. Benavidez cut off the ring effectively, trapping Gvozdyk against the ropes and limiting his escape routes. By the round's end, Benavidez was clearly in control, dictating the pace and forcing Gvozdyk into survival mode. In the round 5 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez continued to apply relentless pressure, moving forward with authority and landing heavy shots. His combinations, particularly to the body, began to sap Gvozdyk's energy and further slow his movement. Gvozdyk tried to counter with sharp jabs and straight punches, but Benavidez's aggression and physicality were overwhelming. Benavidez effectively cut off the ring, forcing Gvozdyk to fight off the back foot and limiting his offensive opportunities. Gvozdyk's attempts to create distance were largely unsuccessful, as Benavidez maintained a relentless pace. By the end of the round, it was clear that Benavidez was in control, steadily wearing Gvozdyk down and dictating the fight's flow. In the round 6 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez continued to assert his dominance, pushing Gvozdyk back with relentless pressure and heavy combinations. Benavidez focused on the body, landing punishing shots that further slowed Gvozdyk's movement and reduced his punching output. Gvozdyk attempted to counter and create distance, but Benavidez's aggression and ring control kept him on the defensive. Benavidez's ability to cut off the ring and force Gvozdyk into uncomfortable positions highlighted his growing control over the fight. By the end of the round, Gvozdyk was visibly worn down, struggling to find answers to Benavidez's sustained attack. In the round 7 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez's relentless pressure continued to take its toll on Gvozdyk. Benavidez mixed up his attacks, landing powerful shots to both the head and body, further breaking down Gvozdyk's defense. Gvozdyk attempted to fight back, but his counters lacked the sharpness and power to keep Benavidez at bay. Benavidez cut off the ring effectively, leaving Gvozdyk with little room to maneuver and forcing him into a defensive posture. By the end of the round, Benavidez had firmly established control, with Gvozdyk struggling to withstand the onslaught. In the round 8 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez maintained his aggressive approach, continuing to apply pressure with powerful combinations. His body shots were particularly effective, further wearing down Gvozdyk and limiting his movement. Gvozdyk tried to mount a counterattack, but Benavidez's relentless pace made it difficult for him to gain any momentum. Benavidez controlled the ring, cutting off Gvozdyk's escape routes and keeping him on the defensive. As the round progressed, Gvozdyk's output diminished, and Benavidez's dominance became even more pronounced. By the round's end, Benavidez had clearly taken control, pushing Gvozdyk to the brink. In round 9 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez's pressure became overwhelming as he focused on attacking Gvozdyk's body and breaking down his defense. Gvozdyk, who had shown resilience earlier, started to slow down and struggle with Benavidez's power. Benavidez effectively cut off the ring, limiting Gvozdyk's movement and landing heavy combinations. Gvozdyk's punches lost their sting, and his defense began to crumble under the relentless assault. By the end of the round, it was clear that Benavidez had gained significant control, pushing Gvozdyk closer to defeat. In round 10 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez continued to dominate, showcasing his relentless aggression and power. He relentlessly targeted Gvozdyk's body and head, breaking down his opponent's resistance. Gvozdyk, visibly fatigued and hurt, struggled to keep up with Benavidez's pace and intensity. Despite his efforts to counter, Gvozdyk's punches lacked impact, and his defense weakened further. Benavidez's pressure was overwhelming, and by the end of the round, Gvozdyk was in survival mode, with Benavidez firmly in control and closing in on a potential stoppage. In round 11 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez intensified his assault, pushing Gvozdyk to the brink. Benavidez's relentless body shots and combinations further weakened Gvozdyk, who was clearly exhausted and struggling to defend himself. Gvozdyk attempted to fight back, but his punches lacked the power and precision needed to deter Benavidez. As the round progressed, Benavidez's dominance was evident, with Gvozdyk barely able to withstand the onslaught. By the round's end, Gvozdyk was in serious trouble, with Benavidez closing in on a decisive finish. In round 12 of the Benavidez versus Gvozdyk fight, Benavidez pressed forward with relentless aggression, determined to secure a knockout. Gvozdyk, exhausted and battered, focused on survival, but his movements were sluggish, and his defense was nearly non-existent. Benavidez dominated the round, landing powerful combinations and pushing Gvozdyk back repeatedly. Despite his best efforts, Gvozdyk was unable to mount any significant offense, and Benavidez's pressure left him on the verge of collapse. The final round cemented Benavidez's clear victory as Gvozdyk barely made it to the final bell.